Last week we read about the Chanukah HaMizbeach over a 12-day period, how each of the Nesiim, the princes, brought gifts and korbanos to inaugurate the Mishkan. And this week we read about the Hadlokas HaMenorah. Aaron kindled the menorah. In last week's parsha, Rashi cites Chazal, we find that the second person to bring the gift was Shevet Yisachar, the son of Ben Tzur. Initially, Moshe Rabbeinu had a question. The order of bringing the gifts to sacrifice should be based on their birth, which would be Ruvain being the Bechor the first, or should be based upon the Masos, how they traveled in the desert. So be the first Machne, the first camp to travel in the desert was Machne Yehuda, Nachshon ben Aminodov, Yisachar, the son of Ben Tzur. So that was the formation which they would travel. Moshe didn't know. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says it should be based on how the formation they traveled in the desert. Therefore, the first day was Yehuda, Nachshon ben Aminodov, Yisachar, the son of Ben Tzur, L'Shevet Yisachar. However, what's difficult, if the original Moshe had a question, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says it's not based on birth, but rather it's based on formation of travel. Rashi cites Chazal that initially Reuven came with a complaint to Moshe Rabbeinu. Yehuda, Nachshon ben Aminodov, I understand. That's what we call Malchus. That's kingship. He goes first. But I, being the Bechor, I should go second. So Rashi cites Chazal for two reasons Yisachar went second. Why? Firstly, because he's the one who actually suggested that they should bring the gifts. It was his idea. So because it was his idea to bring the gifts for the inauguration of the Mishkan, that's where he goes second. In addition, because Yisachar represents Torah, therefore Torah is supreme, therefore that takes precedence over Bechorah, over the Bechor. This is the Chazal brings both of these reasons. The difficulty is, if originally the question was, is it according to birth or was it according to formation of travel? So we already gave the answer. Hashem says it's based on the formation of travel. Machne Yehuda is first, and since Yisachar is included within that formation, that's where he goes second. So why does Chazal have to come up with these other reasons, that the reason why Yisachar, why Nisan ben Tzur, who represents Yisachar, should go second is because he made the suggestion, or because he represents Torah, he's part of the Machne Yehuda, therefore he goes second. That's the reason, very simple. It's interesting. Moshe had a question, is it based on birth or is it based on formation? Now why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu choose formation over birth? Well, Chazal are telling us that since Nisanel had to become second after Yehuda, because he made the suggestion and he represents Torah, that's why it's formation. The deciding factor, it's formation. Hashem's, it's formation. But rather, the reason why the order is formation rather than birth is because Nisanel has to be included. Why does Nisanel have to be included? Because he made the suggestion that they should bring the gifts and bring the korbanos. Or because the Yisachar represents Torah. Once that is in place, that is the deciding factor. Therefore, as a result of it, therefore it's formation rather than birth. So this is how we reconcile both Chazal. He had a question, but why was that the reconciliation of this question? The answer is because Yisachar is special, because although the Nesiim originally, as it says, they were Nisatzlu, Binyan HaMishkan, when it came to Chanukah HaMishkan, it was only because Nisanel's clarity, because he represents Torah, were they able to bring the gifts, which was the proper kavod which they offered.